Just a few welcomes, housekeeping, our usual going through of what we're going to talk about today and the agenda. We welcome you all here. We hope that this is a warm environment, open and friendly, and we want you to be comfortable, eat, stretch, move. We're not going to be taking a break today. Occasionally we have done stretch breaks, but feel free to incorporate your own stretch break, bio breaks, all the things that you need, on camera, off camera, whatever floats your boat. And we are recording it, like I mentioned, and it will be posted publicly for OFMA's website. If anyone has any concerns or wants to talk about that, let us know. And then the chat, we'll ask most folks to be on mute during our larger groups. And then if you have questions, just go ahead and pop those in the chat like usual, and we'll get to them. And then during Q&A sessions, just feel free to ask your questions. We're planning on it and hopeful that you will have a bunch. And then we'll also be sharing in the chat links as they come up. And then at the end of the day, we'll also send like a full wrap up. I'm not saying Madeline will send a full wrap up of the day along with the recording. So you should all see that. And today with us, coordinating everything and making the day happen, we have our whole OFMA team. You see us all with these backgrounds. Amanda Cross, most of you know, who's presenting, answering questions, and then Madeline Tucker, who will be making things run today, managing chat questions. And if you have any tech problems or issues, let them both know. So thanks everyone for being here. And we have a few announcements. Obviously, OFMA membership is great. It really helps us support all of you when you become a member and update your member profile. One of our most visited portions of what we do is our Find Your Market map. So when you get your membership in, it gives us a lot of time to make sure that you're all represented on that map, and also lets us engage with you more easily so that we can make sure that our resources are serving you and getting you what you need. If you haven't renewed, please take that opportunity to renew later today. And you should be getting a call if you have not already from an OFMA board member, just reminding you that it's currently membership season. Sign up, register, great opportunity to ask any questions about membership. We did change our memberships structures. Most of you would have seen that by now, but if you have any questions about that, we're happy to talk to another time. And then our annual meeting is coming up in March. It's going to be March 15th at 1 o'clock. It's a virtual event, and it's just a great time to catch up on OFMA official business. We'll vote on board members and hope you'll join us in that vote and bring input to us, the team and the board, about where you want OFMA resources to head, what direction you want OFMA to go. We're here for you. So hopefully we get to see you. And there are some links that should pop into the chat there. And then moving on to our agenda for today, it's packed and we have lots of good stuff for you. We'll have 4 phases basically of this time together that we're excited to introduce you to the programs and the experts that your market will be working with on a regular basis throughout the next year. We're going to learn first about main food access programs. So everyone's familiar with SNAP, Double Up, Food Bucks, Farm Direct, and Market Link. We're going to dig into those more today and have opportunity for questions there from our resident experts. And then we're going to learn more about licensing, permitting, to really help you support your vendors. You are the cog that makes that wheel turn. So we want to make sure that you have all of the nitty-gritty details that are often maybe hard to access and find. And then the third section, we'll do an introduction to anti-racism work that OFMA's currently undergoing, and that we hope your market will join in if you're not already. And then finally, we'll cover additional ways you can get help and guidance and other resources that OFMA has available to all of you, and connect with other farmers markets too, to kind of get that peer learning. And then there will be a brief question and answer section after each of those, and then at the end as well, of course. And we're going to try to run on time and hope that all of our technology works for the day. And with that, the goals for the day, this is a fun piece that Amanda puts in, is what we will do, might do, and won't do. And so we just want to share those goals with you all while we have you here today. What we will do is introduce the Oregon agencies and organizations that you'll be working with most often, and make sure you know where to go and get more information from them as you need it. We will make sure that that you all know where to go and where to get that. And we might practice scripts for contacting these agencies and getting the info you need. I know that sometimes that's important to have talking points, especially as we're pointing you in directions to go ask others for support. What we won't do today is get into those nitty-gritty details about types of permits specific to something at your market, dig into any one market specific challenges with permits or food access programs. We have monthly opportunities for those types of deep dive conversations with other market managers. And then we're also here existing virtually all the time for those questions as they come up specifically to your market. So that's one of the things today is not about, it's more overarching sharing details with everyone. And if we have time, we might go over some scripts with y'all. And then we're going to do breakout triads. And I hope I say that right. I always am wondering if I'm pronouncing that right. And we'll teleport you all into breakout rooms for just a few minutes to connect directly with each other, and just really meet other market managers, give yourselves a brief introduction, a quick note to the room that you're in about the most useful thing you've learned in these past boot camp sessions. So if you didn't join us last year, it's a great opportunity to talk about what you're expecting to learn. And if you did, what you felt like was the most valuable thing that came out of that. And then of everybody back, thanks for coming back. Hopefully everyone got an opportunity to check in really quickly. And it would be great if folks got to meet a new peer or revisit it with someone that you have not before. We're going to move on to now talking about SNAP and EBT in Oregon. And I'm going to bring Amanda on screen. And just a little background, Amanda herself has been a market manager for 10 years between Seattle and Portland, and now works for OFMA as our program manager. And she manages the entire Farmers Market Learning Network that most of y'all are familiar with. And that brings trainings, peer learning, and networking, online tools, resources to markets all across the state and elsewhere, including this boot camp here. So Amanda is our resident expert, statewide expert on all things. So Amanda, go ahead and take it over.
Hi, everybody. It's so good to see you all here. I'm glad to get new people to running farmers markets brought into our community of people. And I hope that getting to talk to a couple other market managers just now was these are your peers, these are your community, these are the people you should reach out to for help. Well, besides, you can reach out to OFMA for help anytime, but also you guys are experts too on everything that you do. And so I hope that you met someone that you can talk to again in the future. Anyway, so this, as Ashley said, this first section is going to be all about food access programs. I think you guys heard about that a little bit in the boot camp the other 2 days, but we want to get into some of the more Oregon specific stuff, and you'll get to meet the local people here who are in charge of Double Up Food Bucks, Market Link, and Farm Direct. I'm just going to start from the beginning though, just to make sure we are all on board, just a little bit about SNAP and how that works. So a quick rundown on that is that, and a lot of these same notes are also in our SNAP and EBT toolkit that's online at our website too. So yeah, SNAP stands for Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. It's a federal food assistance program administered by the USDA's Food and Nutrition Service. And it provides crucial help to households that need more food to eat. So it's a federal benefit, and it is the way that people access that is the funds are put onto an electronic benefits card, the EBT card. So a lot of times you'll see the word SNAP and EBT used interchangeably, but they're basically the same thing, but they do refer to slightly specific, yeah, they refer to some specific things, but you can use them interchangeably. SNAP is the actual program. EBT is the card that people use to use their benefits when they go to a grocery store or a farmer's market. And each state has its own EBT card design. In Oregon, EBT cards are also called Oregon Trail cards. That's a picture of it there on the screen. Your market can accept cards from all states, though. So you may get to see other cards or see people who are visiting. Let's see, next slide. So here's how SNAP tends to work at a farmer's market. SNAP transactions take place at the market's info booth or some other central location. And they should be the role of staff or a really well-trained and trusted volunteer. This isn't really something you can expect someone to learn on the spot when they arrive to volunteer for the day. If you're new market manager to your market, you should be thinking about who's going to be running SNAP at your market and making sure that that person is someone who can come to the market consistently, because there's a lot you need to train them on. And you don't want to be, I don't know, it saves your time if you can have someone coming regularly. Hopefully it's another staff person, but some markets do rely on volunteers to do this work. So customers bring their EBT card to the info booth before they shop, and they tell the market representative how much they want to spend. And the market assists the customer by ringing up the sale and swiping their EBT card. And the customer then enters their confidential PIN number into the point of sale. And when approved, the market gives the customer tokens for the amount of the sale. Typically, I mean, almost always, those EBT tokens are distributed in $1 amounts because that offers the most flexibility for customers in how and where they use the tokens, since cash change is not allowed per federal SNAP regulations. Let's see. So on the market's end, once that transaction has been completed, the customer's funds from their EBT card are directly deposited into the market's bank account, along with all the other transactions of the day in one batch, usually. Sometimes it's 2 batches, and it typically happens within about 48 hours, but I've heard it can take up to 7 days sometimes. So that's how, so the funds get from the customer to the market in that way. But next, what has to happen is the customer uses the market tokens to buy products from market vendors. The tokens can be spent all in one day or saved for another time, and the tokens should never expire. This means that it's never one-to-one each day how many tokens you sell and how many are spent with the vendors and how many the vendors turn in. And that's what makes the tracking and accounting of SNAP kind of difficult, because you need to keep careful track of what goes out and what comes in. Because you need to know how many tokens your market has out in the world, because you have to always have funds on hand to be able to cover those tokens. That's what you're liable for. So after the customer spends the tokens are now with the vendor. And at the end of the day, the vendors will turn those tokens into the market for reimbursement. And the market counts the tokens received from vendors and provides a reimbursement according to whatever your reimbursement protocol is. Some markets actually can count the tokens right on site and do the reimbursement right there. But breakdown time at the market. It can be a breakdown. Sometimes it's can be a stressful time and people are tired. And so my recommendation is that you collect the tokens and do the counting later offsite in your office, which tends to mean the market manager's home, since a lot of markets don't actually have offices. And then you can issue a weekly or monthly check to vendors. So that's how the money goes from the customer to the market and then to the vendor. Okay, let's see, next slide. Okay, so some of you are here as new markets and are new to running a farmer's market. So you may not actually have a SNAP program set up yet. Others of you who are here are just new staff or board members at the market, and the market has been around for a while and already has a program in place, but you're just new to understanding how it works. So I'm going to cover some things for both groups. So for the first group, those without SNAP programs, here's the basic process of how you get started with getting a SNAP program. You'll need to apply to Food and Nutrition Services, FNS, to become an authorized SNAP retailer and get your FNS number. This application is online and can be a little daunting if you've never seen it before, but there's lots of help out there. I can help you fill them out. Lisa is here and she's going to talk in a little bit. She's from MarketLink. They can help. And AFMA has guides at our website, including we have a workshop recording very similar to this one, of FNS staff walking through actually how to fill out those forms. After you get your FNS number and become an authorized retailer, next is deciding what point of sale system you want to use. Again, I can help you choose this. And again, I'll probably get you over to MarketLink because of their funding program. That helps with the costs on that. Then you'll need to buy a set of tokens to use and determine the bookkeeping methods you want to use to account for and process reimbursements to your vendors. AFMA has a pretty exciting program that we've been working on for the last year that's getting some new common protocols and spreadsheets. We've been working with a pretty cool bookkeeper who's we haven't quite launched it yet. We're still in sort of the pilot phase, but we are going to have some cool new spreadsheets and tracking tools to share with markets to make your SNAP accounting processes better. Anyway, a big part of getting your SNAP program set up is figuring out what your accounting process and bookkeeping is. After that, you need to create training tools for your staff, volunteers, and vendors that let them know how SNAP works, what foods are eligible, and how to turn in tokens. This info is really similar for each of these audiences, but it also needs to be customized for their specific roles and responsibilities. So you definitely need to spend some time on training and thinking about what you need to tell each of the groups that you work with as a market manager. Finally, you need to make sure that your community knows that they can use their SNAP cards at your market. All your materials, electronic and paper, should at the very least include something simple that says you accept EBT. You may have seen signs like this even at gas stations. You know, they have big signs, big flags sometimes that say we accept EBT. Your market should be doing the same thing. Make it really obvious that you can use your card at a farmer's market. A lot of people don't know that they can shop at a farmer's market with SNAP. Okay, so for the second group, those whose markets already have SNAP programs, but you're new to running one yourself, I just wanting to highlight that implementing a SNAP EBT system, so you're kind of coming into this new, and I just want to make sure you're paying attention, your board members or whoever hired you may not know about SNAP or EBT. And so I want to make sure that somebody is telling you that this is important and you pay attention to it. Implementing a system is an ongoing operation with lots of financial and labor investments, and taking your staffing and bookkeeping systems seriously. to make sure the back end of your program doesn't get messy is really important. And during market hours, you really need to make sure you plan to have enough staff and volunteers, and that so that one of them can be occupied selling tokens all day, and they won't really be available to help with other work around the market. So hopefully it's not you as the market manager who has to sell tokens, because you have a lot of other things you need to be doing and attending to. So it's important to ask for help and ask for more staff help, or ask for regular volunteers to help you with this. And then depending on how your market does budget planning, it may be your job as market manager to come up with a figure for how much it'll cost to run the program for this season. Funds then need to be found through grant writing, sponsorships, and possibly vendor fees. Another good thing to do is to check out now how to do paper vouchers. You would only need to do this in some kind of emergency where your EBT machine stopped working, or maybe you forgot to bring your EBT machine to the market that day. That happens sometimes, but it'll save you a lot of stress to know before it happens what you should do. And we have a checklist of how to use paper vouchers online. And I think Madeline just put a link to it in the chat. We have a checklist. We tell you how to use them, and we give you a template also in case you don't have any. And of course, you should make some of those and have those paper vouchers on hand at the market. And then the other thing to be aware of is to know that FNS requires all SNAP retailers to do a reauthorization every 5 years. It's similar to the application, and it's basically just updating all of the market's info as needed. With the turnover of staff and board members, though, it's possible that you might get one of these reauthorizations, but have had nothing, but you weren't there when the original application was done, and perhaps not even any board members were there when that happened. So it can be, a little hard to fill that out when you don't know what the previous one said. But if you're having any trouble with one of those reauthorizations, just let me know. I've done them before. I can help you. They're not too scary if you have someone helping you with them. So if you're having any trouble with SNAP, get in touch with me. I can help you and get you to the right person. Some of those people that I may be getting you to, I'm about to have you meet. And let's start with Lisa Roach. She works for MarketLink, which is the program of the National Association of Farmers Market Nutrition Programs, and she's our regional representative for the West Coast.
All right, thank you. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Sorry, one second. Okay. All right, can you all see my screen? Yeah, okay. Okay, yeah, thank you, Amanda. As she just mentioned, my name is Lisa, and I'm a regional representative with MarketLink. I live in San Francisco, so I am the West Coast regional representative, which covers Oregon. Thank you for Amanda and the Oregon Farmers Market Association for hosting me and allowing me to talk a little bit about our grant program. So to start us off, I'll give a little background about who we are. MarketLink is not an organization itself, but we are a program of our parent organization called the National Association of Farmers Market Nutrition Programs, or NAFMNP for short, or slightly shorter, I should say. NAFMP mostly works with WIC and senior vouchers, so they created MarketLink to focus on SNAP. We are funded through a USDA grant, which was first awarded to us in 2013 and again in 2019. So that's the grant period we're currently in. The grant was written to specifically help farms and farmers markets accept SNAP EBT. We are partnered with a company called Novadia Group that developed an app called Total Pay Go. This app is used with a Bluetooth card reader to process SNAP EBT transactions. Our grant covers a 1-year subscription to this app and the card reader free of charge. In addition to providing equipment, we also help farms and farmers markets through the SNAP application and is here to answer any questions regarding SNAP free of charge as well. So what do we fully cover? As I mentioned, the main aspects of our work are technical assistance with SNAP and providing point of sale equipment to eligible farms and farmers markets. So basically, we're here to help you determine if you're eligible for the free equipment, but regardless of eligibility, we can still help you through the SNAP application process. If you're not eligible for free equipment, we can always guide you to resources of where to look into other options. But lastly, and overall, we're here to answer any questions about SNAP EBT as our time is covered through our own funding. And even if we don't know the answer, just like Amanda said, we can likely point you in the right direction of someone who does. So as I mentioned in the last slide, part of our work involves providing grant-funded equipment to eligible farms and farmers markets. So what does it mean, of course, to be eligible? The main components are your business type and whether or not you've utilized a grant program already. So the business types that are eligible for the free point of sale equipment are direct marketing farmers and farmers markets as defined by the USDA. So the USDA defines a farmer as an individual producer of agricultural products that sells directly to the public. Additionally, at least 50% of their total retail sales must come from products they grow or raise themselves. So it's okay if they buy some products from other people, but as long as most of their products are from what they actually grow or produce, they are a direct marketing farmer. A farmer's market is defined by the USDA as 2 or more agricultural producers selling their own agricultural products directly to the public. So basically, they want to have at least 2 farmers selling to the public at a fixed location. So if your market moves around, if you're a van mobile market, unfortunately, that does not count according to the USDA. You would just be a delivery route. So who would not be eligible is anyone, of course, who doesn't meet those definitions, or anyone who's already utilized the Market Link program during this grant period, so since 2019, and anyone who has currently functioning equipment from a state-funded program. Basically, these programs are to help people get off the ground, so they don't want people going back to get them twice. But if you're unsure about any of this, just reach out to me and I can help you determine if you're eligible before applying. But if you are eligible, what you can get is the free subscription to an app called Total Pay Go for 1 year. And you would download this app on a phone or tablet that you use for your business. You would then pair this app to the second piece we provide, that Bluetooth card reader, and use the app and the reader together to process transactions. So on this slide, you can see what the app looks like, along with the card reader there on the right side. If you're familiar with Square, if you've ever seen that in action, it's very similar, so that kind of gives you an idea. But this means you will need to provide your own smartphone or tablet to run the Total Pay Go app on. But it doesn't matter if it's a device you already use for your business or your personal device, any device works. It also doesn't matter if it's an Android or Apple device or what carrier you use. As long as the device has Bluetooth capabilities, the most recent software update, and access to Wi-Fi or cellular data, you should be good to go. Total Pay Go also has the option to add credit and debit processing, which I don't have time to cover in this short presentation. But if you're interested, you can check out their website to read more details about that, or again, just email me directly and I can share any information. But before you can utilize the equipment or any equipment to accept SNAP, you first need to be authorized to accept SNAP by the USDA. Amanda covered this a little bit, but just to sort of review, the first step is to apply online through the USDA website. The application is about 5 pages online and can take anywhere from 20 minutes to an hour to fill out. After you've completed and submitted your application, for your application to officially be complete, you need to then upload what's called the supporting documents. These are documents to verify your identity and certify your application. But after you've submitted your application and uploaded your supporting documents, then you basically just need to wait to hear back from the USDA. It helps to check on your application at least once a week to make sure it's moving along and to look out for what's called additional information requests. But hopefully they don't ask for any additional information and your application just gets approved. Once you're approved, you get notified by email and you will get a package in the mail. Altogether, this process can take as little as 2 weeks, up to 2 months as the most. But the more you follow up with your application, the more you check on it, the quicker you are going to get approved. So now that you have a brief idea of what to expect, I'll now cover the ways we can help you through the process. So the first option, of course, is to fill it out on your own. This means you will create your own USDA login, submit the application, and upload your supporting documents. We have instructional guides that walk you through each step of the process. And these guides also have our contact information, so you could always reach out to us if you get stuck or have questions. The second option is to actually have MarketLink submit the application on your behalf. This means we would book a phone call appointment to gather all your information, and then we would submit and upload your supporting documents on your behalf. The main benefit of this option is it allows us to double check on it for you, make sure it's filled out correctly, and even follow up with the USDA on your behalf. If you're interested in this option, you would apply for MarketLink on our website and you get an automated email with a link to book an appointment with one of us. Or again, you're welcome to reach out to me to get started, which takes me to my last slide, which is, so if you're interested in either equipment or help with the SNAP application, head to marketlink.org to get started, or you can reach out to me anytime. And that's it for me. Thank you. And I'll type my contact in the chat too.
Thanks so much, Lisa. Now I'm going to pass it over to Katie Furia. She's the outreach coordinator for the WIC and Senior Farm Direct at the Oregon Health Authority and is helping to expand the use of Farm Direct checks in Oregon.
Hi, everyone. Let me make sure I'm pushing all my right buttons here. There we go. Good morning. So happy to be here to talk to you a bit about the Farm Direct Nutrition Program. Great to hear from you, Lisa and Amanda, and all the work you're doing to support markets. That has not always existed in Oregon to help markets set up SNAP. So yeah, just kudos and thank you for all the work that you do. So Farm Direct Nutrition Program federally is called the Farmers Market Nutrition Program. So you may hear it called that. Let me make sure I'm showing the right screen. Are you seeing my full presentation screen? Awesome. I always worry about that. Here in Oregon, we call it Farm Direct, and we are a state administered federal nutrition program. We get state and federal funding to run the program for both WIC families and seniors. So a little bit look backwards to last season to show you the scope of the program. We had over 1.8 million paid to local farms for their fresh produce sold to our participants. We issued checks to over 50,000 WIC families or WIC participants and over 59,000 senior Farm Direct participants. This was our biggest year in Oregon yet, and we're expecting to issue even more in the coming season. And I know there's some veterans in the room, so a lot of this will be repeat, but I do have some new information for everybody. But I'm just going to walk you through kind of start to finish what it looks like at a higher level here. So for our WIC Farm Direct families, they get their vouchers distributed by the local WIC clinics, and that might be through a regular appointment or a class. Sometimes go to farmers markets and distribute there, but all of that's done by the clinics. And that happens anytime between May and September, depending on the area. For our seniors, we do everything by mail. So we're going to mail their vouchers to them. Most of those go out in June. And then sometimes we do a second mailing in July, but they get out a little bit earlier in the season. For WIC families, they get $28 per person in the household who is eligible. It's a one-time per season issuance, so not a monthly issuance. And they can have up to 5 members in the household to receive that $28 benefit. They need to be currently enrolled in the WIC program, so that'll be pregnant, breastfeeding, postpartum women, and to receive Farm Direct checks 4 months of age to 5 years for the children. And for our seniors, they get $32 per season for anyone eligible in the household. They need to be 62 or above, and they will be receiving either SNAP and or Medicaid and not living in a facility that provides them food. Finally, once they get their checks, June 1st through November 30th is our shopping season. Participants will visit farmers markets and farm stands, and they will spend their vouchers directly with authorized farms to buy fresh produce. So it's a really easy program for markets to have because you're not actually doing the exchange. You're not actually doing any sort of a record keeping process, which is, I know you're all really happy to hear that probably. So we authorize the farms directly to accept the checks, and then we pay the farmers directly. So you're not even swapping out with the farmers to get them paid. And this is where we have some exciting news and a change in our process this year. So we're moving away from the paper checks that farmers would take to the bank to deposit. And this year, our new vouchers will have a barcode that farmers will scan using a smartphone to be paid weekly via direct deposit. And a key here is that they can scan at the market if they want, if they have time and they have wireless connectivity, or they can take it and they can scan it later when they're home or in their home office, wherever they are. So the participant will just surrender the voucher as usual and leave with their produce. Farmers do not need to do the scanning to complete the transaction. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. And then, of course, our participants and shoppers are going home with more fresh, healthy food. Here's a closer look at the voucher. So those green checks, which we've had in circulation for years and years, are moving on. It's a more colorful, hopefully more attractive voucher for shoppers. On the backside, which you don't see, we actually have things translated into 7 languages, which is not something we had the ability to do on the check that needed to be deposited right through financial institutions. Previously, farmers needed to stamp each check and then bundle them and take them to the bank. Sometimes that was easy. A lot of times it was a bit of a hassle. Sometimes there were bank fees, so it really wasn't ideal and it was very time consuming. So again, farmers will be able to just scan this barcode. They'll set up an account to have the direct deposit go through, and then that will be paid weekly. Briefly here on eligible foods. Now getting to the shopping experience, that's printed right there on the voucher. But it is for locally grown only, fresh fruit, fresh vegetables, and cut herbs. So nothing processed or prepared, and nothing potted. So that sets us apart from, say, SNAP or Double Up Food Bucks, which allows edible plant starts. Ours all need to be cut specifically. And then our program defines locally grown as grown anywhere in Oregon or in a bordering county of Washington, California, Nevada, or Idaho. So as far as markets to become authorized, since you're not actually interacting with these checks beyond really answering questions, the main benefits are having you included in our online directory, which we heavily promote to all of our participants. And we're working on an improved directory this year. We've kind of struggled with it the last few years, honestly, but we're going to make it better this year so folks can find you. So it'll ultimately bring you more shoppers, new customers. Again, you're not doing any tracking or reporting, so very easy. And then ultimately you are supporting your community and farmers, which is why you all got into business anyway, I'm guessing. So to qualify as one of our authorized markets, you need to meet on a consistent basis at a defined location over the course of a season and have at least 3 market vendors over the course of the season who grow or harvest fresh fruits, vegetables, or cut herbs in Oregon or a bordering county. So I have over the course of the season underlined because you don't have to have all 3 on a given market day. You just need to have at least 3 produce growers on your roster. And sometimes that might even look like a flower grower that occasionally brings peas or asparagus a few weeks of the year. So they don't have to be primary produce growers to count in this 3. You just need to have 3 vendors that do sell some produce, local produce, over the course of the season. And this is really your only action slide as far as something that you would need to do. So our online application opens after April 3rd. It's a very simple application. We're really just looking for contact information when your market is open, what information should be on our directory. For returning markets, so if your market has ever participated before, we're going to send you a renewal email at the beginning of April. You'll just need to follow some links in the email and complete that application. If you are a new market that has not participated, you can find the new application on our website, myoregonfarm.org, to complete that. So if you are a new manager and you're using a new email address that previous managers use, please contact us and let us know what that new email is so that our reminder email can find you. And then if you are a new market who has not participated that you would like me to send you a reminder that our application is open, you can send us an email there at that oregon.fdmp address, and I will let you know when the application is open. We'll get you going. After the application for our new managers and new markets, we do require a one-time 30-minute phone remote orientation. That's most likely with me. Honestly, we're going over a lot of what I'm going over today, just sort of the ins and outs, so you're able to further train your staff and answer questions at your info booths. We'll have you sign a 1-year agreement, and then we send a packet of program materials in the mail that will include some signage and a guide, and then your signed agreement. And for farmers, we do our own authorization process with them. We have over 700 authorized farms in the state, so chances are some of your growers are currently authorized with us. Very similar application process for them. Opens the same day. They find the information same place. We send reminders out to all of them. They click the links, come complete it. They will do for new farms, they will do a one-time orientation with our state staff. It's separate from the market orientation. Sign a 3-year agreement, and then we send them their information to be able to start accepting checks. And something I've offered to markets for the last few years, if you want to know which of your growers are currently authorized, I don't have a way of looking up for each market, but if you want to send me a list of your growers, I can look them up and let you know. Often markets will want to suggest that the farmers become authorized or send them to us. So we're happy to give you the information, or you give us the farm and we can reach out to them. We can kind of work with you for that if you have some growers that aren't authorized. And then lastly, contact information. This is my direct phone number. This email address goes to our team. It's just a small team of us that read those. I tend to respond to the market specific emails, so you can find me there as well. And we have Q&A time coming up in a little while, but this is it for me for now.
Yeah, thank you, Katie.
Mm-hmm.
That was really helpful. I do see that there are questions about Farm Direct in the chat. Madeline is tracking those. And when we're going to do one more presentation. And then when we get to the Q&A, we'll circle back to all of those. So next we're going to hear from Mallory Watson, who's the Double Up Food Bucks Program Coordinator at Farmers Market Fund. And she works with markets to help them with offering incentives, Double Up Food Bucks incentives. Oh, Mallory, I think there you go.
Sorry. I'm just going to get my screen sharing up really quick, and yeah, we'll get started. Thanks for having me. As Amanda said, I'm Mallory Watson. I'm the program coordinator for Double Up Food Bucks with Farmers Market Fund. I have a quick little agenda here. I'm just going to go over today who we are at Farmers Market Fund, what the Double Up Food Bucks program is for those who aren't familiar, how you can participate, and then kind of what to expect as a partner market once you're accepted into the program. So just a quick note about Farmers Market Fund. Our mission is to make healthy, locally grown food accessible to underserved Oregonians, and we do that through the Double Up Food Bucks program. We've been coordinating Double Up Food Bucks in Oregon since 2015, We're a small 3.5 FTE organization. And we are funded primarily by an appropriation from the state of Oregon, and then a couple of federal grants that help us pay for all of the incentive dollars for Double Up Food Bucks. Double Up Food Bucks, we love it. We think of it as a win-win-win. Of course, most of you are probably familiar with the impact that it has for SNAP shoppers. You know, they spend their SNAP dollars, they get double the money to spend on produce, so they're able to bring home more food each week. That also translates into farmers making more money. There's more food dollars coming into the farmers market with Double Up Food Bucks. And then, of course, that also keeps money in our local economies when the dollars are being spent with farmers that live and work in Oregon. This is just a little representation of all of the sites that participated in Double Up Food Bucks last year in 2022. This shows farmers markets, CSA, and grocery sites. We had over 75 farmers markets last year, as well as 21 grocery stores and over 50 CSA farms. The programs are not currently interoperable, so farmers market incentives need to be spent at the farmers market, grocery incentives spent at grocery, and CSA at CSA. Farmers markets and grocery each have a $20 match limit, which we'll talk about more in a minute. And then for CSA shares, participants can receive 50% off of their share price, which is just really great. Yeah, and Farmers Market Fund, we manage the Farmers Market program, and then we work with Pacific Northwest CSA Coalition. They manage the CSA program, and we work with the Oregon Food Bank, who manages the grocery program. So I'm going to talk a little about how it works specifically at farmers markets. Basically, you got kind of a good rundown of how SNAP works at the market, and this is kind of just like an add-on to that process. So a customer would come to the info booth to swipe their EBT card and exchange their benefits for tokens to spend in the market. And then at that point, they would also get the Double Up Food Bucks match. As I said, the match limit is $20 a day. So you know, shoppers don't have to get $20. If they only want to spend 10 in SNAP, then they would get 10 in Double Up Food Bucks. If they want to spend more than 20 in SNAP, that's also okay, but they would still just get that $20 match. So even if they spent like $100 in SNAP that day, they would still get just the $20 Double Up Food Bucks match. Just like SNAP, no change can be given for Double Up Food Bucks. And as you can see, they're in $2 increments. So that's always a good thing to remind customers about, as well as letting them know that, you know, if they get an even dollar amount of SNAP, they can kind of maximize their match of Double Up Food Bucks. So anyway, once they have their tokens and their Double Up Food Bucks cards, which I have one right here, it's just like a little paper card. They can go out into the market and redeem those at eligible vendors. And then on the vendor side of things, you know, they accept the tokens and the Double Up Food Bucks just like it's cash, basically. And then they would redeem those with the market manager at the end of the day in order to be reimbursed. Just like SNAP, Double Up does have some restrictions on what can be purchased. It's a little bit more restrictive than SNAP. So we always encourage folks to spend their SNAP tokens on other things in the market and spend their Double Up Food Bucks first on fruits and vegetables, just so they have a little bit more flexibility in what they can purchase. So Double Up Food Bucks, folks can purchase fruits, vegetables, mushrooms, beans, herbs, and plant starts that are meant for growing food. So our card says veggie starts, but it also includes like fruit starts, any food plant starts, nothing processed. So no added sugars, salts, fats, or oils. But of course, customers can still spend their SNAP tokens on, you know, anything else in the market that they would buy at the grocery store. I think basically non-food items and hot food are like the big ones that people wouldn't be able to spend their SNAP tokens on. Yeah, so I think those are like the big, broad Double Up Food Bucks guidelines for shoppers and vendors. So let's talk about how your market can participate if you don't already. So we ask markets to accept SNAP for at least 1 year prior to applying. As Amanda covered, there's kind of a lot that goes into getting your administrative systems set up when you're accepting SNAP, and making sure that you have all of your systems in place is really important for Double Up Food Bucks. It just makes it a lot easier to bring that on. And it also gives us a baseline, so we have an idea of how much funding you need for your market for Double Up Food Bucks based on your SNAP participation. The application opens each year for the main season in early February. It's actually open right now. And I'll pop the link in the chat in just a minute here when I'm done speaking, but it's currently open and due on March 3rd. So if your market has accepted SNAP for at least 1 season and you haven't participated in Double Up Food Bucks, I definitely encourage you to apply. The last big thing that you need to make sure of before your market can participate is that you have some capacity to handle increased bookkeeping and record keeping demand that comes along with this program, because unfortunately, unlike Katie's program, we do have some pretty strict reporting requirements, and they can take a lot of extra time if you're not used to doing that. So that's just one thing to consider before you apply. And I'm always available to talk with markets about what that looks like and help you figure out the best way to make Double Up Food Bucks work at your market. All right, so once you apply and you're accepted into the program, FMF is here to provide a lot of support for markets. Of course, we provide the funds for reimbursing your vendors, but we also provide the currency, which I showed you, these little cards. We distribute those to the markets to use for Double Up currency. We have a lot of printed outreach materials and outreach support. We have outreach partners around the state who help us distribute materials, and we also have materials for your use at the market. We provide technical support around like the guidelines and record keeping requirements. We have lots of record keeping tools available and a resource hub for market managers. We provide an annual shopper survey and materials to help you distribute that so you can get some good feedback about the program at your market. What else? Double Up community of practice. We do about like 3 meetings a year where managers can come together and talk about Double Up specific challenges or things that come up for you while you're offering the program in your market. And we also have the opportunity for participating markets to apply for some operational support funds through our Molly Notariani Double Up Food Bucks Growth Grant. So with, we know that there's this increased record keeping and operational burden with Double Up Food Bucks. So we try to offset that as best we can with this additional grant. I feel like I'm missing something, but I think those are like the big things that we provide for our participating markets. And then we just ask markets in return to attend some annual training at the beginning of the season to make sure that you've got all the record keeping and guidelines around Double Up Food Bucks down. Of course, we are asking you to maintain records and report regularly. So we ask markets to keep records each week at the market for your SNAP transactions and your vendor reimbursements, and then you report those on a monthly basis. And then we have annual reporting at the end of the year where you're submitting all of your information to us. And then as you are the most plugged into your specific community, we ask your help with outreach and letting people know that they can access this benefit at your market. Yeah, I was trying to stay on time here. Hopefully we're not too behind schedule. Thank you so much for having me. If anyone has questions, you can always contact me. My email is mallory@farmersmarketfund.org. You can go to doubleuporegon.org to get more information about the program. Yeah.
Thanks, Mallory. That was great. Thanks everyone for all those great details. And I see we have a nice backlog of questions from the chat. And Madeline, I popped those ones out for Katie. Do you want to start with those ones?
Say that again?
Do you want to start with the Katie's questions? Are you reading questions from the chat?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
I was going to
those are
start
good.
with, I saw the first one was from Amy. Okay. So Amy asked, how will farmers learn the process for handling the new vouchers? Will FDNP train them? And then also, where can we get graphics for the new vouchers for our website?
Yeah, great questions. We will do farmer training for all new farmers, and all of our current farmers will need to learn the process as well. I would say where we may need some market support is if there are farmers who are not Farm Direct authorized, who shouldn't be receiving the check or accepting the vouchers, but they do, they might come up to you and say, hey, what do we do with these? So any additional, and we don't talk to them. We don't talk to our non-authorized farmers. So any additional support, letting those farms know not to accept those if they're not authorized and how they can become authorized. But for anyone authorized to accept them, we will do the full training. And as far as the graphics, yes, we can provide that for markets.
We also had a question from Rebecca about did it switch from 5 farmers for an authorized market to now 3? Is that correct?
That's correct. Mm-hmm.
Then I believe there was a request as well for your contact information.
Okay, yeah.
You can drop that in the chat.
Yes, here, I can put that in the chat, my phone number. And I had also seen one about flip phone farmers, how we're going to handle them, or those without a smart device. So that was one of the big reasons why we didn't want the transaction to be dependent on the scanning to happen, is because of that and because of wireless connectivity. So an option for those who do not own a device, later on they could borrow one. They don't need to have anything downloaded in order to scan them. It's just a website that they'll go to and log in and do it. So from anyone, if they could borrow a device, they could do that. Or they can also manually, the vouchers have the voucher number printed on them that is associated with the barcode. They can manually enter those in. So it's not ideal if you have a lot, but there's a way to get around it if needed.
Awesome. All right, I believe that was all the questions for you, Katie. I think we had some for Mallory about elaborating on what it means to have processed food. So is dried fruit considered processed?
Yeah, that's a good question. So yes, dried fruit is fine as long as there's no added sugar or anything. Same, like frozen fruit is also okay. Dried herbs are not acceptable though, only fresh herbs. But yeah, generally dried and even like freeze dried fruits and vegetables are just fine as long as that's the only ingredient.
Awesome. And then there were some questions about the paper vouchers as well. Why do they expire? And then also, are they market specific?
Yeah, those are also great questions. They are not market specific, so shoppers can redeem them at any participating market, which is a great benefit to the shopper. It allows more flexibility, especially with, markets aren't open every day of the week. So if they can't make it to the Saturday market, maybe they can pop by a Tuesday market and still spend their double up food bucks. And then why do they expire? They are tied. We have specific grant funds that pay for the incentives that need to be expended by a certain date. Also, just with the liability of having millions of dollars of grant funds out in the world, it's just way too much for our small team to keep track of. So those are kind of the main reasons why we have the vouchers expire. But folks do have all year to spend them. So we just ask markets to let people know, they expire at the end of the year. So make sure you spend them before then, but people can still save them up to buy their favorite produce that comes on in August, or spend them all in one day, however, whatever they want to do.
Thank you. I think this one from Morgan is sort of generally for all three of you. Is it the vendor's responsibility to know which of their products are eligible to accept SNAP tokens and Double Up Food Bucks vouchers, and what items are not eligible, or is the market responsible to educate the vendors on that?
I would say for these programs, it's both. The vendors can look up this information too, but I think, you know, as a market manager, your job is to support your vendors and help them know what they need to know to be at market successfully. So having training materials and telling your vendors which foods are eligible or not eligible is part of your job too.
Yeah, I agree with that, Amanda. And I would say, like, from the perspective of Double Up Food Bucks, like, because of the restrictions that we have from our federal funders, like if an ineligible vendor, like say your bakery vendor, gets reimbursed for Double Up Food Bucks, like, we can't use federal funds to pay for that. So it ultimately would come down on the market if you're reimbursing ineligible vendors. But again, the vendors should also be provided with resources, which Farmers Market Fund has those for Double Up Food Bucks to share with your vendors, so that they can be empowered to know what products are eligible.
I believe that was all the questions I saw in chat. If anyone else has any, feel free to come off mute or raise your hand or type another one in the chat, and I'd be happy to read it for you.
And we'd be happy, you know, if you put questions in the chat, if something comes to you later, we can always connect you with our panel people, or we can answer, we can get in touch with you by email to answer your questions. We are running just slightly bit behind, not a big deal, but maybe we should move on to our next section. And I just want to thank Lisa, Katie, and Mallory so much for being here. And I'm so glad that you guys got to meet our new crop of market managers and market staff. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
So I think I saw that Aaron and Sombra did arrive, so we're ready to move on to our next section. And this section is going to be all about permits and licensing. And I'm going to start with a little bit of an overview of that, and then we'll chat when we'll get to hear from Aaron and Sombra from their agencies. Okay, so first I'm going to talk about like what kinds of permits your farmers market itself needs, and then we'll talk about what kinds of permitting your vendors need. On the state, starting with farmers markets, on the state level, there's no farmers market permit that you need to obtain to be in operation as a farmers market. That's great. Easy. On the city or county level, though, I'm not aware of specific farmers market permit. However, there's a lot of cities and counties in Oregon, so I don't have every single one memorized. But if you're using property that's owned by a government entity, for instance, you're closing off streets or you're using park, you will need to get permission in the form of some kind of agreement, a lease or a permit to close those streets off, close those spaces off and use that space. The other license related question we get about operating a farmer's market is if markets need a license of any kind to run food demos and give out food samples. And the answer to that is that neither the ODA, the Oregon Department of Agriculture, nor county health departments require farmers markets or their vendors to get a license or permit to prepare or give out samples. Food handler cards from the county are not required for the sole purposes of sampling. However, markets and vendors must follow good food safety practices when they're doing sampling to the public. And getting a food handler card is a great way to learn what those protocols are. And so it's a very good thing for market managers to have. For more information about sampling, you can check out OFMA's. We have a very robust sampling toolkit available on our website that talks all about safety protocols for sampling. It also talks about a different kind of sampling, which is the kind of sampling that a vendor might do for developing a food product. So how to get feedback and input on the product and perhaps change the flavor or change the packaging or find out better if you're using like if a vendor is using like their family recipe for something, which of course the family thinks is great, but what does the public think? It has a bunch of tools and surveys and those kinds of things that a vendor might want to use to get more information about how their customers think about their products. So encourage you to check that out. You can share that sampling guide with your vendors so that they can get better marketing information about their product. And it also has all the information about food safety in there too. Okay, let's see. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to do a quick poll just to try to get some information, try to learn from you guys where you're at around permits and supporting your vendors with that kind of information. So say a potential new vendor came to you and asked about selling salsa at farmers markets. And they asked you if they needed any permits, or they're wondering, do they have to use a commercial kitchen to sell at farmers markets? We're just wondering, would you know what to tell them? So take a minute and read the answers and pick the one that's closest for you. Looks like we've had most people respond to the answers. Let's see. Madeline, is there a way to show the results? I can see the results at the moment, but I can't tell if everyone can see those at the moment.
I actually can't even see them right now. So
okay.
You can just let me know when to end it, and I can
I can see them.
Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe has everybody gotten a chance to answer? Maybe we can end the poll, and maybe when we end the poll, the answers pop up for everyone. Share results. There, so it looks like most people were actually, we've got a lot of people, several people that are pretty confident in this room, and we've got people who they don't know for sure, but they think they know where to go get more info. And we definitely have a few people who are like, I don't have a clue, and are worried they'll say the wrong thing. And we have a few board members in the room who are just happy to have staff handle this for them. So hopefully this next section will help some of those people who don't know for sure where to go, because you're going to get to meet some of those people. Okay, so next I'm going to talk about some vendor permits. I'm just going to give a little intro on vendor permits. Okay. So we know that there's a lot of rules and regulations and licenses that can apply to farmers market vendors. And this is an area I hear a lot of market managers stress about. They say they don't know what all the permits are. They get confused about who issues them. They don't understand the process of how vendors get permits or how to find out if a vendor has the permits needed. And they worry about giving vendors the wrong info and what the possible implications are for the market or vendor if they don't have the right permits lined up. In the short time we have today, I want to leave market managers with an understanding of your role in this area. And basically, my advice is you don't have to be a permits expert. That's the work of the agencies that create them. Honestly, they're getting paid a lot more than you are to handle these permits and know what they all are and tell people about them. What your role as a market manager is to understand the system well enough that you can navigate around and within it to get the info that your market and your vendors need. And I think a market manager is doing a great job when on the poll that we just did, they're able to say they don't know something for sure about a permit, but they know where to get that help. It's possible you may have seen lists of permits vendors need that are organized by product, like what egg vendors need, what nurseries need, what a vendor making food from ingredients they bought needs versus a farm making the same product from ingredients they grow. That list can get really long. And what helped me as a market manager was just realizing that while there are a lot of products in those lists, there are really only 3 places issuing permits, and that was tons easier to remember. So today we're going to hear from some of those places and introduce you to which vendors they work with. And that's all you really kind of need to know. The first group is the ODA vendors. Those are the vendors that would be going to the Oregon Department of Agriculture. Those are farms of all kinds, produce, meat, dairy, and also processed food, which means food products that are made from bought ingredients that are intended to be consumed off the market site. The other place that permits come from are the county health department, and their vendor types are restaurants, food carts and trucks, ready-to-eat foods, basically any vendor selling food prepared on site to be consumed in the market. And then the third type of vendors are the OLCC type vendors, which covers wine, spirits, and beer. Okay, next slide. One caveat though, bakeries can be tricky. Generally, this is the Oregon Department of Agriculture, since it's a processed food that is meant to be consumed off-site. So you would start there with a bakery. But sometimes bakeries are doing a bunch of added food prep at the market. For instance, maybe they've made the bread, but at market, they're turning that bread into sandwiches. In that case, they may cross over into the ready-to-eat or food carts arena, and you'd want to check with your county health department for the types of permits that they need. And then lastly, it's possible that a vendor is exempt from needing any kind of permit at all with regards to bakeries because of Oregon's home baking bill, which allows people to produce certain baked goods and candy items in their home kitchens and sell them directly to consumers without getting a license. This is a really limited scope of products though, and a lot of items don't count, and a lot of these home bakeries don't know all of that for sure. So it's really important if a bakery comes to you and says, I don't need a permit, I'm exempt, it's really important to get from them, what is their list of things that they're going to sell? Because you want to make sure if they're trying to do things outside of that, you're going to want to direct them that, you need to go get a permit as a bakery. And they'd be probably getting one from ODA. But there's an excellent guide to this from OSU Extension that'll walk you through who really gets to be exempt and who isn't. And we'll put a link to that in the chat now, and we'll include that later with the materials we send you afterwards. So before I turn it over to Erin and Sambra, I just wanted to show you how I used to handle questions like the one that we had in the poll. If a potential vendor asks about, say, selling salsa, first you want to get some more information from them. Are they a farm, or are they someone who's buying are they a farm growing the ingredients that they want to use in the salsa, or are they buying the ingredients? Either way, it's under ODA, but that info is important to the rules that apply to them. So once you have a little more information about what they're doing, you could call or email ODA and say, hey, I'm a market manager and I want to understand what type of permits a potential vendor of mine should have. And note that you don't have to name the vendor. You're not calling to out them or get them in trouble. You're just calling to get more information for yourself and get information for them. You could tell ODA, they're selling salsa that they're making from ingredients that they bought and they want to use their home kitchen. What type of permit do they need? And can they make this product at home? Or say they're a farm making salsa from ingredients they grew on their farm and want to use their home kitchen. Do they need a permit for that? When you get an answer from ODA, then you can go back to the vendor and say, hey, here's what I've learned. Here's how to get in touch with ODA. And here's what you as the vendor can tell them. Depending on the level of help you think this vendor needs, you can offer other additional pieces of help, like directly connecting the two of them together if you feel like they might need that kind of introduction. So now let's hear from our presenters. We're going to start with Sombra Forrest. She's the Senior Environmental Health Specialist at the Multnomah County Health Department and works in the temporary restaurant program. Sombra is who markets or vendors in Multnomah County would contact. So the county health department is obviously organized by county. If you're not in Multnomah, you'll need to contact the temporary restaurant program in your own county's health department. But Sombra is one of our favorites. I've been working with her for a long time, and she's really helpful and is going to answer our questions. So what you might expect when you go talk to your own county person contact.
Hello, I'm Sombra. Thank you for the introduction, Amanda. Appreciate you. Let me get to sharing my screen because this makes me nervous, by the way. I'm hoping, can everyone see that? I hope.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So I, hang on one second. Uh-oh. How do I, shoot. I'm trying to get to the top of my screen and I can't. Oh, I didn't want to do this. What I'm finding, hold on one second. I'm trying to get to the top to start my slide. Here we go. Okay, so there's a series of questions that I was asked to answer, and forgive, there's going to be a lot of information, so I'm trying to just do one at a time so it doesn't overwhelm everybody. So the first question is, what do county environmental health departments do? Well, we, as the county and the states in the whole United States, the states adopt the FDA food code. It's the Food and Drug Administration food code, their guidelines, and the states can adopt that particular, whatever's in that food code, and they can choose to keep some things out. But it is a national guideline for states, tribal, federal agencies. And at the local health department level, we're mandated by the Oregon Health Authority to inspect twice a year for brick and mortar restaurants, food carts, and we also go into quite other types of inspections like pool and spas, RV parks, recreational, like summer programs, hotels, motels, and all the like. And so, but today we're going to focus on the food. So we also, what I do is I inspect and run the temporary restaurant program. Forgive me, my cat, I have the door closed and he is meowing on the other side of that door. I hope you don't have to hear that. And so we do give out the seasonal licenses for the temporary food vendors at farmers markets. They're 90-day licenses rather than 30-day. We do all of this to ensure that the consumption of food is safe and the practices are safe for the public. And, of course, everything that we do is to prevent foodborne illness and And that's what our main concern is in this type of work. So next question, what is the process of getting a temporary event restaurant license like for vendors? Well, what we do is ask that all food vendors submit a application. It's located on our website. It's called a single event license application for the 30-day vendors, or the 90-day vendors. They have a seasonal 90-day license application they filled out. And as I said right there, there's the two licenses. For the 90-day license, the requirement is that the vendor fill out a operational plan review. It is additional questions application that goes into more detail about their practices. Because their license is longer than 30 days, the state Oregon Health Authority requires that. And they get that approved. It takes about a 2-week process, and then they're approved to get that 90-day license. So when they go to renew, they don't get any kind of courtesy call or anything from our office, but they do have to kind of look at their license and that expiration date and make sure that they apply to renew that license before the 90 days or 30 days are up. And so there's various ways to get that process started. They can come into our office. Now, with COVID and everything happening, people were just doing it online, where they can pay online now. That's something new. And they can download the application and then email it to our office and, pay over the phone. And of course, we're always available to answer questions. So. And of course, sometimes we come across unlicensed vendors at farmers markets for one reason or another. And we do sometimes attempt to license them in the field if we have time. Sometimes we don't. So we go and contact the coordinator of the market and ask that they shut down and come back the next week or when they can get licensed. It's that we try to not have to do that, but sometimes that's what happens. So how do you check if a vendor has their license? So there is a license that, once the vendor applies for it and pays, and their office processes that information, we produce a sticker license, pretty colorful, and we bring that license with us when we do the inspection. They pass inspection, we give that license to them, they post it in a public view in their booth. Market managers, they can call our office to ask if a vendor has a current license. They can check inside the booth to see if they have their license posted. And if they say ahead of time and the vendor hasn't set up yet, but yet the market manager ahead of time wants to know, has all the vendors applied for their license? Well, of course, they're not going to get their license in advance. The inspector brings it with them and they give it to them when they pass inspection. However, they can get that stamp paid application from our office to provide that to the market manager. Oop, and this is what it looks like. Ooh, see how bright and colorful it is. This is what would be up in the food booth. Okay, so what resources and help can market managers expect from their county health department? Well, we are available to answer any food safety questions, anything that comes up, food safety wise practices, any type of information about public health that they need. We are always there to provide that information, either by phone, email, or in person. So yeah, so market managers, as we know, they may not have all the information they need, so they need to contact us, about how that process happens and how the inspections, what happens during an inspection. For today, we don't really have a lot of time to go into that, but we're always available to answer those questions. And I think I just mentioned that. Again, visiting our website and finding out, who the inspector is. Of course, we have like 26 inspectors. It's not always going to be the same inspector on site. So I'm always available as the person who's running the program to answer questions. So how do you reach the right person to get information? So again, our main number is that 988-3400. Of course, I have my information at the end of the slides to for you to contact me. Of course, I'm Multnomah County in Portland, Oregon, Gresham. Of course, the people from all over the state, so this isn't going to apply to them, but for anybody in the Portland area. Say differences between counties. This one was a really easy one to answer because there isn't a lot of differences. The Oregon, adopts those guidelines, the FDA food code. County-wise, they can differ just slightly with local ordinances. Like for instance, the city of Portland back in 2003, they've banned the use of styrofoam for food service. Meaning because the styrofoam doesn't really break down in landfills. It takes a long time. So there's lots of alternatives out there. Same with latex gloves. They've banned the use of those in Multnomah County because of the allergen with them. There's lots of alternatives for those. The vinyl, nitrile, other synthetic type gloves that you can use. So those are local ordinances, so they may differ from county to county, but the majority of those the food code that gets adopted by Oregon, and then all counties abide by that food, the sanitation rules are the same. So something that happened at the beginning of 2020, and of course that's when COVID happened, the state adopted some new rules. One of them for the temporary restaurant program had to do with the expansion of our exemption list for foods. What that means is baked goods, commercial ice, citrus juices and stuff, they were added to that exemption list. And what that means is vendors could serve those without a license. However, they would need to abide by certain guidelines, one of them being a hand wash station, and the food coming from a approved source, that they provide signage in the booth saying, they hadn't been inspected by the local health authority, and that there's no bare hand contact with the, say, foods like the baked goods and things. Now, this is baked goods that don't have any potentially hazardous product in them, meaning like custard fillings, pumpkin, sweet potato, roasted vegetables, and meats and things like that. And what happens is that they fill out an exempt form, agreement form, and gets approved, and they keep that with them signed in their booth. And so that when the inspector comes around, they can see that and see that they're exempt from licensure. And that's the end. Let's see if hopefully I'm within the time. This is information for us. I have my phone number and my email down at the bottom. If anybody would like to contact me for any questions. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you so much, Sambra. That's really wonderful. Again, I see we have questions in the chat. We're going to hold on to those until the Q&A session that comes after this section. And next, we're going to hear from Erin Lockett. She works for the Oregon Department of Agriculture and is the Food Safety Division's Program Manager.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. My name is Erin Lockett. I am the Retail Program Manager for ODA's Food Safety Program. I'm really happy to be here today to help you guys out. And of course, my amazing computer is giving me some interesting choices with sharing my screen, which I love that for me. Great. This is a little difficult. Okay. 1 second. I apologize.
It's okay. Take your time.
Okay. Share. All right. Can you guys give me a nice verbal yes if you can see my screen?
I can't see it yet.
You can't see it. Great feedback. Please grant browser access. I'm trying. Oh my gosh. Okay. Amanda, could I email you my slides? My permissions of my computer won't let me do this.
While I go collect those, maybe we could do the questions for Sombra then, while I go get that out of my email and get it set up. Can Ashley and Madeline read those for Sombra?
Yeah, I'm happy to scroll all the way up. Let's see. So this one, why are temporary restaurant permits tied to the location and not to the restaurant or the vendor themselves?
That's a good question. So why are they tied to the location? Well, we required, and it's a state rule, it's not ours, but who oversees our program, and how they've worked it out is that every time a person applies for a license, it then triggers that inspection. So if that vendor had a license just for themselves, but they're moving around to different events, that event changes. Okay, and it's going to change sometimes location, sometimes it doesn't change. We do have another license that doesn't get used as often. It's called an intermittent license. It's the same location, but the events change and they get a 30-day license that covers them for all events in that location. But again, the question is, why do they have to have a new license every time? That is something that the state has come up with, right? How is it linked to public health? Well, they see it as if the organization changes or the amenities change, it could then affect the public health in a way of what they're providing for the vendor, and whether it be electricity, things that could possibly change the outcome of the safety of the food. So it's still a really good question. However, if somebody had a license that carried them throughout the whole year, it wouldn't be temporary. It wouldn't be considered a temporary license. That's an annual, like more of a brick and mortar restaurant. And because things change so much, then that inspection is for safety is required. So, and I hope I answered that okay. I understand why people say that they have to get a license every time, because it's costly, but it really does come down to safety. So
thank you. That was a great detailed response. I see a couple other questions in here that look pretty quick. Wondering about materials in other languages and if there is an online list of inspected restaurants. I'm just going to throw them all out there because they're kind of yes or no's. Is the exemption list for statewide, and is there a link to it again? And then another question about the exemption link. It's a popular topic.
Yeah, there is. The link is on our website under temporary restaurants, and to download the application and also download the fact sheet number 16 that talks about all the exemption foods. So it's on our website, www.mchealthinspect.org. And what was the other question?
The language, materials in other languages.
That's also on our website, and they just came out with there's several languages that for a lot of our fact sheets. We have lots of them, like a whole bunch of them for every food safety category, and we have them all in different languages. And what was the other one you questioned? Sorry.
I think it was another question about the exemption list. The exemption link.
Oh, yeah. The link. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And did we miss anyone or anyone have any additional questions before we throw it back to Erin?
Yeah, there used to be a list, and I thought it was statewide, where you could look up recent inspections, and by definition, those people are licensed. I always have trouble finding it. I don't even know if it's a state resource or not, if it's OHA or not.
Actually, yeah, it's on our website. And it is kind of difficult to find, I think, a little bit, just because it's when you go onto the main restaurant page, it's not like right there. You have to go over to the right side and you'll see a restaurant resources, a guy that has a red chef uniform on. You click on that and it'll bring up, look up, or I think it actually, sorry, it's below that. Below him, you'll say it'll show right on that page, but it's on the right bottom that, to look up restaurant. And it's for restaurant, brick and mortar restaurants and food carts only. It's not for temporary food vendors. You can look up the score. And it also look up any priority or Priority Foundation violations that are that were listed in that inspection report. And those why priority and Priority Foundation violations are directly related to foodborne illness. And the scores start at 100 and go down from there, and below 70 is a fail.
Could you put the website in the chat?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I guess yeah, sorry about that.
Great. Thank you. Great questions. And I think we're ready to head back over to Erin.
Hi, can you guys see my screen? No? Awesome.
No.
This is super duper. Hey, Amanda, I'm really sorry for this not going the way you wanted it to go.
It happens. Zoom is always tricky.
That's unfortunate for me.
Amanda, do you want to maybe move ahead and then, oh, Erin's coming back in. I can't tell if they're back in or not. Amanda, you're on mute.
I would move ahead, Ashley, but I can't move ahead and get Erin's slides open at the same time.
Yeah, for sure. So
But I
let's wait
think-
until Erin's back on. Thanks everybody for patience. It's not.
I'm here.
Oh,
I have done everything to exhaust sharing a screen. I cannot seem to do it. It says on Firefox that I'm sharing. It says that I'm sharing. I will stop sharing. I will try again.
I just made you co-host. Let's see if that helps.
Okay. Your browser is preventing you.
Oh no.
Firefox has lots of privacy protections, which work really well when you want them to, but not when you don't. And I saw someone, Kendra, that's a great suggestion. Erin, if you have, oh, there, hey,
Okay.
nice work.
Great. Did I lose it? Can you guys see her slides now?
Yeah.
The embarrassment I feel is overwhelming. So I apologize for that. And I'm really excited to just start talking to you about food safety with ODA. All right. So thanks so much for joining in. Thank you so much for your patience with me and my ineptitude with technology today. So here at ODA, we really love working with the public. We love working with our customers, and we're really excited to always provide a free pathway to food safety and regulatory expertise. So we'll get into that. So Oregon Department of Agriculture, what do we do in the food safety program? We license food establishments. And so for us, as we've kind of gone over with Sombra, so ODA's food safety or food establishments are in the retail sphere. We're talking your butcher shops, we're talking your grocery stores, little retail markets, your 7-Elevens, your plaid pantries, anywhere from the big chains to the little mom and pops. We also do dairies. We do non-alcoholic beverage manufacturer, alcoholic beverage manufacturer, cannabis retail, cannabis processing. We do a whole bunch of stuff. And so that's how we license. But for just other services that we provide, we do a lot of free consultative work, which is something that I'm really proud of our program for doing. We love providing people like the right pathways for things, but we really do try to stay away from creating people's plans for them because they become ODA's plans and not the customer's plans. But we also provide some assistance with label reviews, as labeling is such a serious matter, and it's a matter where people face the most recalls, is unfortunately labeling, mostly around allergens. So we love supporting the public with giving them some assistance. We can't approve labels necessarily, but we do give a high level of like, oh no, that's gonna get you in trouble with the feds. Oh, sorry. So we give that high level guidance and make sure that people are like on the right path. What we don't do though, however, is we don't grant you the permission to use your land the way you want it to be used. That's more of a city or a county thing, depending on where you are and what area you live in is zoned. Like I said, we do not create any processing or building plans. As much as we would love to give you the best HACCP plan known to man, that would be deleterious to both of us. You guys wouldn't, the customer would not learn how to do it properly, and we would be responsible for it going forward. And as I said before, we don't approve labels, but we do make sure that you are not, we check you before you wreck yourself on your labels, and we're happy to give you that guidance. So we have a website that is a portal that can help you determine if a vendor at your market has a permit. And that the link is in this presentation, which it's already in Amanda's inbox, so she can get it out to everybody. And so how a vendor of yours gets a license with us, it's a very intimate process with our inspectors. So the vendor could give us a call, or they can go to our ODA website, which has an inspector search. And the process always starts with your local inspector. The local inspector will take your call. We'll do a free consultation where we determine, or we ask questions like, what are you making? What ingredients are you using? Where are you doing it? And we kind of guide people through and say, oh, you need this type of a license. You need this type of a license. So that's the consultative work. We also do plan review, which is a look at the facility itself, usually on a piece of paper first. And that can be a back of a napkin drawing. It can be an architect blueprint. It can be any of those things, just so that we know what your facility looks like. Because everyone knows hand washing is one of the most important factors in food safety. So do you have a hand wash sink? Do you have a 3-compartment sink in your facility to do the dishes? So all that fun stuff, we try to make sure that you guys have all the right facilities to make sure that your food operation is set up for success. And then we do an initial approval after that, where we do an in-person verification of the plan review, make sure everything's good, make sure your water's hot, your bathroom doors are self-closing, all that fun stuff. And then depending on what operation is being run, so we're talking if you have a bakery, that's a low risk organization in our definition. So we'll see you once every 3 years. And that's just a very general example. There are probably bakeries that are medium risk, but just super high level, your baguette bakery is a 3-year inspection frequency. But your high risk stuff, like your Fred Meyer, Albertsons, things with delis, those are high risk. So that's a once-a-year inspection. And all of our inspections are unannounced. And that is to see when the magic's actually happening. And then we get to see what's happening in a real life situation, and we get an accurate sense of what's going on in that facility.
And I just want to mention that ODA's philosophy is to educate before we regulate. So we do like to give a lot of information and just say, hey, do you know that that's not okay? Great, thanks. So we really try to lead with compassion and education before we drop any sort of hammer on anyone. And what resources and help can market managers expect from ODA? We will help you determine if a vendor that you have requires a license. So we have some rules on farm direct marketing that are allowed. And so we have some fabulous resources on our website about those types of things. And if you email our general email at foodsafety@oda.oregon.gov, you're going to reach our clerical staff and some of the management team, and we see your questions and we try to get back to everybody within the same business day. And we'll gladly provide you with resources inspector if that's what you're looking for. But we take customer service incredibly seriously at ODA, and we are happy to help anyone that contacts us. But as it's stated here, market managers, feel free to just email us. And if you have vendors that are interested in becoming licensed, then you can direct them to the local inspector page, which is on this slide. And again, so our food safety admin team, you can find at that generic website. Our food safety website is with the ODA website, and we have so many fun resources on there. But clerical will give you a direct line to the right resource. And then you can always contact me. I'm best reached by email. That's how I keep track of who I need to get back to really well. So that's the best way to get a hold of me. And yeah, happy to entertain any questions you have. Thank you for your patience with me as I fumbled through the technology. And thanks for doing such wonderful things for the community with farmers markets.
Great. Thank you, Erin. And don't worry about the technology things. We've all been there. We've all had things not go quite how we thought, and we caught it and it was good. And we're
Next
just
year will be better.
So yeah, I think we could do questions again if people have questions for Erin or any other things for Sombra.
Erin, I just wanted to say I'm with a group that has a bill that would modify the Farm Direct law, and we would, if that passes this year, we'd like to work with you directly to improve the education materials for Farm Direct. They're really in need of revision, but we should see if the I'm sorry, I don't even know if I'm talking to anyone or not. We should wait to see if the bill passes. Thank you.
Sounds good.
Great. Are there any other questions? Oh, Kendra wants to know what the bill number is, Rebecca. Oh, and Katie's wondering what's the difference in who to contact, ODA versus county health?
A quick way to think about it is immediate consumption versus eating it later. So going to a sandwich counter where the intention is for you to eat that sandwich on site or very shortly thereafter, that's generally the county. But like packaged food, that's us. Grocery stores, that's us. Does that help, or do you have another specific example that might help you a little bit more?
Katie's
Yeah,
saying
no problem.
yes. Yeah, great. Thank you. And then I think if no one else has any questions, I think we'll go ahead and move on with Amanda. Oh, Alexis, are you raising your hand?
Yes, I am. I was trying to find the little icon. If we wanted to put together workshops for vendors, is that something that the ODA encourages, or is there a better way to go about that?
Would you mind repeating the first part of your question? I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no problem. If we wanted to put together workshops for our membership, for our vendors, is that something that the ODA would be willing to help with or facilitate? Or what is the best way to go about something like that?
Would you like us to come speak for some outreach and give similar information? What would you like us to do for you?
Yeah, something like that. We recently received a grant, and part of the grant is putting together workshops or offering workshops for vendors that are interested in creating value-added products.
Okay.
But there's a lot of confusion on how to do that, and labeling questions and kitchen questions. So I'm
100%.
curious.
Yeah. Just with us, as much notice as possible is the best so that we could coordinate staff to support you. But yeah, that outreach is 100% part of our job, and not 100% of it, but we do love to do it to support those and have people. We like to be proactive rather than reactive. So we'd love to do that.
Okay, cool. And would you be the right person to contact then?
Hit me up.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Erin or Sombra? You know, Ashley, I completely forgot that I was going to talk about OLCC.
Yeah.
So I can try to do that quick. Thank you, Sombra. Thank you, Erin. It was really great to meet you and to hear about what your agencies do. I'm going to go into a little bit more about OLCC quick, and then we'll get back into the next section. So they weren't able to join us today, so I'll be presenting on their behalf. And I'll be covering the type of license an alcohol vendor needs for having a booth at your market where they sell bottles to be taken home, and so they can offer taste samples. Markets wanting the ability to serve drinks on site is a much more complicated situation and a little bit beyond the aim of today's workshop. But if you're interested in that, I can connect you with a market who's done it before. And we also have a board member on OFMA who's really experienced in events and knows a lot about doing beer gardens and things like that. So I can get you in touch with those people. So to start with, alcohol businesses need to have an annual license, which gives them permission to operate a business that makes, sells, or serves alcohol. And in addition, OLCC service permits are needed by your vendor and any employees they'll have at the market if they're doing sampling at the market. So once a business has an annual license, to be able to sell at farmers markets and offer taste samples, they also need to apply for a special event license. And these special event licenses cover only 5 dates at a time and are good for one location only. So a vendor will need to obtain multiple licenses multiple times during a season, depending on how many farmers markets they participate in and how many dates they do. The license application needs to be submitted to OLCC offices for the location the farmers market is in. So the vendor may need to work with different OLCC offices as well. OLCC has about 5 offices that cover the state's 36 counties. And the license costs about $10 a day. The other added piece to this is that every special event license needs to be approved by the city or county government the farmers market is located in before it can be submitted to OLCC and the license granted. And the government office or personnel that handles this is different depending on the individual city or county. So vendors should call or email the city or county general info to track this down, or they can check with similar vendors they're friends with for a tip on who the right person for that city or county is. If you're wanting to confirm that your alcohol vendor is licensed, you should ask them to give you a copy of their special event license. If they have this, you can assume that they have their annual license and service permits, because OLCC wouldn't give them an event license without having those other licenses in the first place. Let's see, and since Special event licenses require the vendor to know exactly what days they will be at your market. Vendors should not be expected to have their temporary event licenses until after you've accepted them and they know what their season dates are. These alcohol licenses seem really, really complicated, but my experience with alcohol vendors is that they tend to be pretty skilled in handling this. They often even have staff dedicated to getting the job done just because there's so many steps to it. Okay, I think that's what I had to say about OLCC. I see that there are maybe a couple questions.
Question about if ODA or the OLCC handles CBD.
Oh, yeah, so CBD would be under ODA. Or it really depends on what the product actually is. So if it's a alcohol product that has CBD in it, it might be more under OLCC. But if it's like a product to eat or something like that, that would be under ODA. And Erin's not still here, is she? Okay, yeah. What they have said in past years at this workshop, ODA has said that they treat CBD a lot like any other ingredient. For instance, like vanilla or other, like they don't really, if ODA has said that if one of your vendors has CBD in one of their products and ODA has licensed them, they are good. Okay, I see Melissa. Melissa, I'll connect you. I see your question about that, about your mobile vendor. And I think, let's see, does service permits include? Rebecca's question about service permits. The service permits are the ones for it's basically the bartending license. So that's different than a SCW. If you have a special event winery, you would still need to have a service permit to be able to serve, to be the person serving alcohol. Okay, maybe we can move on to the next part of the agenda.
Amanda, does the service permit, is that required also for sampling? I assume that would be the same thing as serving.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Okay, topic change. We are going to talk about diversity, equity, inclusion. This is I hope to not be the person who is presenting this part today. We actually have a great facilitator, person that leads our workshops for OFMA on this. Their name's Sunny, and they are great. And I really wanted you guys to all meet them. But due to an emergency in their family, they weren't able to be here today. So I'm kind of taking over and doing this part of our presentation. I hope that you will come to their workshops that are going to be happening in the future this year and get to meet them. They are really wonderful. So why is OFMA talking about DEI and leading with race? Let me get to my notes on this. I'm not quite there. Okay, there we are. So OFMA believes farmers markets should be supportive, welcoming, inclusive spaces for everyone. But in reality, they're not really working that way. Few farmers markets have Black and brown people on staff or as board members, and lack of representation and white dominant culture means that vendors and shoppers of color don't experience markets as benefiting them. It's not random that markets function like this. The way things are happening now is obviously connected to Oregon's history of racism in land access, in agricultural loans, in housing policy, in immigration, and other systems of disparities in wealth, income, and opportunity. All of these things have combined together to see where we are today and why farmers markets look the way they do. So OFMA is working towards being an anti-racist organization. We have a DEI statement that guides this. I think we're going to put that in the chat so you can all read it. I hope you do read it. OFMA's made DEI a major focus of our learning opportunities in the Farmers Market Learning Network. We offer, as I said, we offer workshops on this every year. And let's see, next slide. But one of the other big reasons we are talking about DEI is because farmers markets themselves say that they want to dedicate time, effort, and funds to this change too. OFMA's 2020 census illustrated this when over half of the respondents to it said that they had engaged in DEI work, like attending trainings. 35 had said that their market announced their support of Black Lives Matter movement. They actively recruited Black and Brown vendors, and that they had equity spelled out in their operations or a dedicated time and budget to DEI. And most importantly, nearly all the markets answering the census said that they wanted to do more and would like OFMA to help provide training and help with making their markets anti-racist and equitable. So this is something that your peers are all working on. This is how Oregon markets function. This is where we are going. And OFMA wants to help you guys get there. So what we wanted to do today was to help you connect up with what's going on, and so that you can find tools to use at your market on this. The two that we're most excited about is that we have 2 toolkits created by a market manager from here in Oregon, Shiny Flannery, who runs the Come Through Market in Portland. You can find these toolkits on our website, along with a recording of the workshops she did to go along with them. They're great for you to watch yourself, but market managers have also been sharing these with their boards and working through the activities. One of the resources is more like an activity book and has things you can do together with your board. These are important resources because they're so specific to Oregon, and they were created by one of your market manager peers. Again, another thing you can do is read OFMA's DEI statement, see where we're coming from on this, and also attending our workshops that, like I just mentioned with Aorta. They've been doing these for a couple years now, and you can find recordings of past events on OFMA's YouTube page, and 2 more are being developed for this year. We also invite you to bring your questions and experiences that you have to our monthly peer learning circles and get advice from others who run farmers markets and see how they're handling this and how they're making changes at their market. And the Farmers Market Coalition has an anti-racism toolkit that has also lots of great activities. It's outlined in a really great, like, first you think about it, then you say it, then you do it. Really recommend reading through that. And I recommend that you follow local organizations like the Black Food Sovereignty Coalition, Black Oregon Land Trust, PCOON, Come Through Market, and the Oregon Community Food Systems Network. Follow those on your social media, keep track of what they're doing, volunteer with them. This is a great way to stay informed and keep your own skills and understanding moving forward. So I think we're also ready to do we're happy to take some questions from you about DEI and why OFMA is focusing on this, or about this for your own market. Okay, no worries if you don't have any questions. We can move on then. We have an activity for you. next, actually. Let's see. So often the first question that people have is the where to start question. So we have kind of a take home activity for you to do, and we're going to put you in a short breakout room to do something right now. So to do at home, a good activity would be to find the history of the place where your market is located. You can read the food systems timeline on OFMA's website to better understand what happened 25 years ago, 100 years ago, 500 years ago, still shows up in our lives today. Like, what part of our country or region or state's history do you see having an effect on your market and community today? I think looking at that and answering that question for yourself or for your market is a good way to start thinking about how to do this work. So yes, to do that, we're going to put you in breakout rooms. If you want to go, if you don't want to go, you can move back to the main group. But we want to give you the opportunity to use Native Land Digital to look up your market's location and then just share in your group what you learn. We're all on native land, and this website aims to help people know more about the lands they inhabit and use, and the history of those lands, and how to actively be part of engaging with current communities. So I think we put the link to Native Land Digital in the chat, so you might want to click on that so you have it ready to go. And then we will put you into groups, and you guys can just share where your market is and look up what you find at that website.
Okay, I believe everyone should be back. Hopefully y'all found that activity engaging and interesting, and you were able to connect a little bit more with each other. Topic change again. So hello, my name is Madeline. If you are a new market manager, get used to seeing my name because I'm going to be bothering you all the time. You'll see my name on lots of emails coming your way constantly. And I'm just going to talk to you all a little bit about what OFMA has to offer you, which is quite a bit. So first and foremost, I want to plug our website. If you have not perused it yet, I invite you to get over there and just look around. And I'm going to say this to hold myself accountable, that this year we are hoping to completely revamp our resources section on there to make it more of a user-friendly resource directory for y'all. But in the meantime, we have our resources sort of organized by topic on the website. So we have just a massive hub of resources, links on links on links. You can find past workshop recordings. Just in a few days, this one will be on there too. Learning circles, so many PDFs, lots and lots of toolkits, just like the DEI ones we were talking about before, on a myriad of different topics. So everything from the vendor permitting things that we were just talking, if you need a reference back to any of those materials, we have it all linked on there. All of our DEI resources, all of the past COVID resources we offered, if you want to reference any of those, pretty much any topic you can think about under the umbrella of managing a market, we probably have a link for you to read something about. So if you ever find yourself wondering about a certain topic, try looking at our website first. And then of course, if you have any trouble finding anything or want to know more, we are always here to and happy to answer any emails. There's a little like questionnaire form on our website to contact us, or you can always email myself or Amanda directly. Same goes for board members or vendors with questions. If they have something that you know is on our website, save yourself some time and just go ahead and link them to what we have. We don't want you wasting any of your precious time. We know that you all are very busy, and we have these resources available to you for a reason. Additionally, the biggest plug besides the website that I want to give today is our peer learning circles. I know it's been vocalized a lot by market managers, especially new ones, that it's so lovely to be able to interface with other market managers and get to find community. I know that y'all have been chatting a little bit on the previous days of boot camp, and we want to be able to keep that connection going. And we offer a platform exactly for that. On the first Tuesday of every month, we have our peer-to-peer learning circles. And the one we had just recently in February was awesome. I think we went overtime with it. They're really only as useful as the amount of people who come and participate. So the more of you that come, the better we all benefit from them. They're really just a space to build community for you to share knowledge with each other, ask each other questions, or just vent. If you need a space to just let out whatever disaster happened at your last market, that is a wonderful platform for you to do that. And that's exactly why we have it. Whatever you need as a market manager, that's the space to come and bring it to the table and just bounce ideas off of each other. Sometimes we come with a set topic in mind, but oftentimes we just have it open to whatever's on your mind, especially this time of year when we're preparing for the season and there's a lot of behind the scenes work going on for market managers. We really welcome you to come bring to the table whatever you have going on that you might need help with. All right. And I will be dropping, after I finish speaking, like a massive amount of links to all the things I'm talking about. All right. We also invite you to stay connected to everything that we do. So these are my personal plugs because I manage all of our communications channels. So it would make me so very happy if you went out of your way to go ahead and plug yourself into these, and I will be dropping all the links. So first and foremost, we do have a quarterly newsletter that goes out to the general public as well as the market managers. This is sort of aimed for customers, market managers, board members, literally anyone in the community who is a farmers market fan. You can subscribe to that on our website. And then we also have a private market manager listserv that we send out more regular updates to. And those come out on sort of an ad hoc basis. So when we have things like our membership coming up, certain workshops that we want to encourage folks to come to, you can find pertinent updates through those. Those go out through MailChimp as well. Please do follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We are at Oregon Farmers Markets under both of those. And if you ever want us to amplify any of your posts, please tag. It makes it a lot easier on my end. If I see you tag us in things, it's an automatic share. The more that you engage with us, the better visibility it happens on both ends. We do have a private Oregon Market Managers Facebook group. It hasn't been super active as of late, but I would love to get more folks in there and get a little bit more of a community going on there. I'll drop the link to that as well. If you're in the Portland area, we do have a Portland area market manager Google group specifically for managers in the area, and that's a really active group. They have some in-person meetings as well. If there are more than one market in another area and you would like to start something similar, we would love to see that. We would love to see other regional meetups happen as well. I know it can be more difficult in the more rural areas, but that's something we really encourage and would love to help platform. And then last but not least, the ORFM listserv hosted by Oregon State University. This is not managed by OFMA. We use it a lot to send out updates, but you'll see anyone sort of in the food systems realm who is involved at all with farmers markets send updates there. And it's I would highly, highly recommend all of you subscribe to that one. There are updates from everyone in the universe, and it's a really great resource to have. And then you are also welcome to share through it. And that is all the plugs I have. Happy to answer any questions about that. And if not, I'm just going to start dropping all those links I just talked about.
Yeah, Madeline said that the last peer learning circle we had was really popular. And I'm just going to say, like, it did go overtime and went like 20. We had to kick everyone out after 20 minutes overtime because we had other places we needed to get to. But we'd love to see more of you there. And it's really fun.
Yeah. Agree. All right. I think we have one last poll for y'all, and we're definitely trending ahead of time. Way to go, everyone. Staying on point. And Rebecca, you have a reminder here in the chat that I can't see. What does it say?
To get the FMC membership connection.
Yes. Yes.
We will be contacting members. So when you register for membership, Typically, we have a code that goes out to you. It's been a little bit delayed this year, but we will be getting those out to you as soon as possible.
Yeah, thank you. And then Will's wondering how to join the PDX Google group.
Just dropped it right there.
Oh, perfect. It's up above. Wonderful. Thank you. So we've got a poll, another one. This is just about confidence in navigating all the myriad of agencies, programs, regulations, rules, all the things that you all have to manage, but the ones that we touched on today. So on a scale of 1 to 5, how confident are you feeling navigating those programs? 1 being not confident, 5 being that you feel like you could teach it to another market manager. I think Madeline will pop that poll. I'm not seeing the poll right now, so let me. Oh, Amanda's hoping folks can put their emails in. Oh, now I see the poll. Do other folks see the poll? Yeah, great. I think we'll give just another little minute.
I can't see if anyone's filled it out. So can you just let me know when it looks like we've got enough people?
It looks pretty full. I think we've got
85%. Yeah.
Awesome.
And then I think everyone can see the responses, but looking great. 3 through 5 is the majority. So we've got a couple of folks at a 2, mostly half the folks at a 3. That's a nice area to be in. Then 33% in 4 and 21% in 5. Excellent. That's great. And Amanda, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, just evidence that everybody should come to the peer learning circles. The people who are still lost can get help from those number 5s, the people who answered 5. They can explain it to another market manager. We'd love all of you to attend.
Yeah. Excellent. All right. So we'll start closing out and thanking everyone. But one last action item we need your help with is get some feedback on today's time. We'll put a link for evaluation forms in the chat now. And we'll give you a moment to click it, open it, so we don't close that out. And we would love you all to complete that. Let us know your thoughts, your authentic thoughts. Your feedback definitely helps us understand how this goes. It also informs other resources that we provide in workshops. We have our annual meeting coming up in a month, and your feedback about this is helpful in all of the resources that we provide and bring to you. And of course, thank you so much to all of our presenters. Their knowledge is so valuable, and just their collaboration with OFMA and supporting our members. We are so appreciative. We know that it takes a lot of time, and farmers markets are a team effort. And so we really appreciate that and all the expertise and knowledge they brought today. And of course, a huge thank you to Washington State's Farmers Market Association for hosting, providing all the resources to our market community here in Oregon as well. We love good neighbors, and they're definitely them. And thank you everybody for being here. We know you've got a lot of stuff on your plate. So having your time here today, your attention, your great conversations, lovely. And let us know if you haven't gotten a chance to open up that chat. And you'll also see that there are day 1 and day 2 presentation links in there. And as far as all of that, Amanda, unless we missed anything, I think we can sign off with folks, and everybody get a few extra minutes to their time, to their day.
Yeah. Thanks everyone for being here.